The maintenance tunnel was dark and quiet. Kong Dae-won walked slowly through the narrow space, checking pipes and wires like he did every week. The cargo ship, Baekdu's Pride, was his home now. He had worked here for 3 years, fixing things that broke and making sure everything ran smoothly. Dae-won liked the quiet parts of the ship. He was not a man who talked much. While other crew members gathered in the dining hall to laugh and share stories, he preferred his tools and his work. The machines never judged him. They never asked questions he did not want to answer. Today felt different somehow. Dae-won could not explain it, but something made him check the lower cargo bay. This section was rarely used. Most containers stayed in the main storage areas, but his scanner showed a small heat signature in container 47. Probably just a broken sensor, he thought. He climbed down the metal ladder, his boots making soft, clanging sounds. The cargo bay smelled like oil and cold metal. Rows of containers stretched into the darkness. Dae-won walked to container 47 and pressed his hand against the door. It was warm. His heart beat faster. Something alive was inside. Dae-won entered his access code. The container door hissed open. At first, he saw nothing but emergency supplies and spare parts. Then something moved in the corner. 2 large, dark eyes stared at him from the shadows. It was a child. Dae-won froze. The child pressed back against the wall, trying to become smaller. She was tiny, maybe 8 years old, but she was not human. Her skin was pale, almost white, with a soft glow like moonlight. Her eyes were too large for her face. And when she opened her mouth in fear, he saw small fangs. A Valrin. Dae-won knew about the Valrin. Everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were called blood drinkers, parasites, monsters. Most species hunted them. Some captured them for experiments or as curiosities to sell. There were very few left in the universe. The child made a small sound like a frightened animal. She was covered in bruises. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She looked like she had not eaten in days. Dae-won should have called security. That was the rule. That was what anyone else would do. But when he looked at those terrified eyes, he did not see a monster. He saw a scared little girl who needed help. Slowly, Dae-won raised his hands to show he was not dangerous. He took a step back, giving her space. The child watched him carefully, her whole body shaking. "It is okay," Dae-won said softly. "I will not hurt you." She probably did not understand his words, but his tone was gentle. He sat down on the floor, making himself less threatening. They stayed like that for several minutes, just looking at each other. The child's breathing slowed down a little. She was studying him, trying to decide if he was safe. Dae-won noticed how thin she was, how weak. She would not survive much longer without food and water. He pulled out his lunch container from his tool bag. Inside was rice and vegetables. Dae-won opened it and placed it on the floor between them. Then he slid it toward her and moved back again. The child stared at the food. Her hunger won over her fear. She grabbed the container and ate quickly, desperately, like she thought he might take it away. Dae-won watched her eat and something broke inside his chest. No child should be this hungry. No child should be this afraid. When she finished eating, she looked at him again. This time, there was less fear in her eyes. She touched her chest and made a sound. It took Dae-won a moment to realize she was telling him her name. "Hanul," she said quietly. Dae-won touched his own chest. "Dae-won." Hanul tried to say his name, but it came out wrong. "Bada," she said instead. Dae-won almost smiled. In Korean, Bada meant ocean. It was not his name, but he liked it anyway. Hanul started speaking in her own language. Dae-won could not understand the words, but he understood her meaning. She was explaining something important. She made gestures, drawing pictures in the air with her fingers. She showed him a family. She showed them being taken away. She showed violence. Traffickers, Daewon realized. She was running from traffickers who had killed her family. His decision formed in that moment. He could not send this child back into that nightmare. He would not. "Can you stay quiet?" he asked, knowing she might not understand. "I need to hide you." Ha-Newell seemed to understand the basic idea. She nodded. Daewon checked the corridor outside. No one was nearby. He helped Ha-Newell out of the container and led her through the maintenance tunnels. They moved carefully, avoiding the main passages. His quarters were in the lower section where few people visited. Once inside his small room, Ha-Newell looked around with wide eyes. It was not much, just a bed, a desk, and a small bathroom. But to her, it probably seemed safe. Daewon gave her water and showed her where the bathroom was. Ha-Newell drank the water like it was precious. When she finished, she looked at him with something new in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or trust. That night, Daewon lay awake while Ha-Newell slept in his bed. He had given her his blanket. She curled up small, even in sleep, looking ready to run. He sat in his chair and thought about what he had done. Hiding a Valrin was illegal. If anyone found out, he would lose his job. He might go to jail. The captain would have to report it. There were laws about this. But Daewon thought about those scared eyes. He thought about a little girl who had watched her family die. He thought about how the galaxy treated her people like animals. No, he decided. Some rules were wrong. Some laws needed to be broken. In the morning, Ha-Newell woke up slowly. She seemed surprised to find herself somewhere safe. She looked at Daewon, and he saw the question in her eyes. Would he still protect her in the daylight? Daewon nodded at her. He made a gesture that meant, "Stay here." Then he went to start his work shift, his mind already planning how to keep this secret, how to keep her safe. He had no idea what he was doing. He only knew that he could not do anything else. Ha-Newell watched him leave. For the first time in many terrible days, she felt something other than fear. This strange man with kind eyes had chosen to help her when he did not have to. Maybe, she thought, not everyone in the galaxy wanted her dead. Maybe this one person was enough. 3 weeks passed like walking on broken glass. Every day, Daewon worried someone would discover Ha-Newell. Every sound in the corridor made his heart jump. But slowly they found a rhythm to their secret life. Daewon learned to bring extra food from the dining hall. He told other crew members he was hungry from working long shifts. No one questioned it. He was quiet and kept to himself, so people left him alone. That was useful now. Ha-Newell stayed hidden in his quarters during the day. She was very good at being quiet. Sometimes Daewon almost forgot she was there until he came back and found her reading his technical manuals. She could not read the human words, but she studied the diagrams with intense focus. Communication was hard at first. They used gestures and drawings. Ha-Newell would point at things and say the Valrin word. Daewon would say the human word. Slowly, they built a small language between them. One evening, Daewon noticed Ha-Newell looked weak. She moved slowly, and her skin had lost some of its glow. He worried she was sick. He brought out his medical scanner, but she pushed it away. She seemed embarrassed. Ha-Newell drew a picture on his data pad. She drew herself, then drew red liquid. She pointed to her mouth, then shook her head sadly. Daewon understood. She needed blood. Without it, her people grew weak. But she had no way to get any. Daewon thought about this for a long time. The idea should have scared him. The whole galaxy said Valrin were dangerous, that they drained people dry. But he had lived with Ha-Newell for 3 weeks now. She was gentle. She was careful. She was just a child who needed help. He rolled up his sleeve and held out his arm. Ha-Newell's eyes went wide. She shook her head quickly, backing away. She seemed horrified that he would offer. Her hands moved in frantic gestures. She was trying to say she would not hurt him. "It is okay," Daewon said calmly. I know you will not take too much. I trust you. Those words, I trust you, made Hanul's eyes fill with tears. Maybe no one had said that to her before. Maybe her whole life had been fear and running. Very slowly, Hanul came closer. Her hands were shaking. She looked at Daewon's face, checking one more time if he was sure. He nodded. Her bite was quick and gentle. It stung a little, like a needle. She took only a small amount, barely enough to fill a cup. When she finished, she immediately pressed a clean cloth against the small wound. She looked up at him with gratitude and shame mixed together. "Bada good," she said in broken human words. She had been learning. "Hanul, sorry." "Do not be sorry," Daewon told her. "You need this to live. It is okay." After that, things changed between them. Hanul started to relax more. She smiled sometimes. She even laughed once when Daewon accidentally broke his coffee maker. Her laugh was like small bells ringing. Daewon taught her more human words. She taught him some Valran words, too. He learned that her name meant sky in her language. She had been named after the sky of her home world, which had 2 suns and turned purple at sunset. Hanul also showed him something special about her people. One day, when Daewon was studying an engine problem, she touched the wall and closed her eyes. After a moment, she pointed to a specific spot and made a cracking gesture. Daewon scanned the area she indicated. His scanner showed a hairline fracture in the support beam, something that would have caused serious problems in a few weeks. The fracture was too small for normal scans to catch, but Hanul had felt it. "How did you know?" he asked, amazed. Hanul touched her ear, then the wall. She could sense vibrations, feel weaknesses in structures. It was a Valran gift. Daewon realized why traffickers wanted her people. This ability was valuable. He started to use Hanul's insights secretly. When she sensed problems, he would discover them during his inspections. The ship's systems ran better than ever. The captain praised his work. Daewon said nothing. He just did his job and protected his secret. But keeping secrets on a ship was hard. One afternoon, Security Officer Choi Woo-jin came to Daewon's quarters for a random inspection. These happen sometimes, checking for safety violations or contraband. Daewon's blood turned cold when he heard the knock. "Daewon, security inspection," Woo-jin called through the door. Hanul heard it too. She looked at Daewon with panic in her eyes. He had prepared for this. He pointed to the small storage panel under his bed. Hanul squeezed inside quickly. Daewon closed the panel and put his toolbox in front of it. Then he opened the door. Woo-jin was a serious man who followed every rule. He stepped inside and looked around with sharp eyes. Daewon tried to act normal, but his heart was pounding so hard he thought Woo-jin might hear it. "Your quarters are very clean," Woo-jin said, checking the bathroom. "I do not like mess," Daewon replied. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Woo-jin noticed the extra food containers. "You eat a lot now?" "I have been working double shifts. I get hungry." Woo-jin looked at him for a long moment. Daewon felt sweat on his back. Then Woo-jin nodded and left. "Everything looks fine. Good work in the engine room lately." When the door closed, Daewon almost collapsed. He let Hanul out of the hiding spot. She was crying silently. He held her small shoulders and promised her it was okay. They were safe. But Daewon knew he could not keep this up forever. He was also getting weaker. Giving blood every few days was taking a toll. He tried to hide it, but he moved slower. He got tired more easily. Dr. Park Yuna noticed during a routine health check. "Daewon, your blood levels are low," she said, frowning at her scanner. "Are you eating properly? Sleeping enough?" "I am fine," he lied. "You are not fine. These levels suggest you are losing blood regularly." Yuna's eyes narrowed. "What is going on?" Daewon did not answer. He could not risk it. But Yuna was smart and observant. She thought about his behavior, the extra food, his tiredness. Her eyes widened as she figured it out. "You are hiding someone." Daewon's silence was confirmation enough. "Who?" Yuna demanded. Then she understood even more. "A Valrin? Daewon, are you insane?" "She is a child," Daewon said quietly. "She was running from traffickers. What was I supposed to do?" Yuna stared at him for a long time. Daewon waited for her to call security, to report him. Instead, she sat down heavily in her chair. "Show me," she said. That evening, Daewon brought Yuna to his quarters. Hanul was terrified when she saw the new person. She hid behind Daewon, peeking out with frightened eyes. Yuna knelt down to Hanul's level. She spoke gently. "Hello, little one. I am a doctor. I help people feel better. Can I make sure you are healthy?" Hanul looked at Daewon. He nodded that it was safe. Slowly, Hanul let Yuna examine her. The doctor worked carefully, talking softly the whole time. "She is malnourished but otherwise healthy," Yuna said finally. "Daewon, you cannot keep doing this alone. You will kill yourself. I have to protect her. Then let me help." Yuna looked at Hanul with sad, kind eyes. "I cannot report this. I cannot send a child back to traffickers. But we need to be smarter about it." Yuna started bringing proper nutrition supplements. She showed Daewon how to donate blood safely. She even brought toys and books for Hanul. The little girl smiled more with each visit. One night, Hanul showed Daewon something special. She pulled out a small crystal from her pocket. When she touched it, images appeared in the air. Holographic memories. Daewon saw Hanul's family, smiling and happy. He saw beautiful buildings and art. He saw a culture rich with music and stories. "My home," Hanul whispered, "all gone now." Daewon felt tears in his own eyes. He put his arm around her shoulders. "I am sorry you lost them, but you are not alone anymore. I will keep you safe, I promise." Hanul leaned against him. She said a word in Valrin that Daewon had learned. "Gajok." Family. "Yes," Daewon agreed softly. "Family." The news spread fast. By the next morning, everyone on Baekdu's Pride knew that Daewon had been hiding a Valrin child. Some crew members were shocked, others were angry, but many were quiet, thinking about what it meant. Security Officer Choi Woo-jin sat in his quarters, staring at his report screen. He should write everything down. He should report exactly what happened. That was his job. But his fingers would not type the words. He kept thinking about Daewon, the quiet engineer who never caused trouble, the man who always helped others without asking for anything back. Woo-jin remembered when his daughter was sick last year. Daewon had worked triple shifts so Woo-jin could take family leave. He never mentioned it, never asked for thanks. That man was now risking everything for a child who was not even his species. Woo-jin closed his report. He needed to think more about this. On the ship, Captain Tae Yang called an emergency crew meeting. All 47 crew members gathered in the main hall. The captain stood at the front, his face serious. "You all know what happened," he said. "Engineer Kang Daewon has been harboring a Valrin child. The bounty hunters have legal documentation. According to galactic trade law, we should assist in recovering the child." The room was silent, uncomfortable. "But I want to know something," the captain continued. "How many of you actually believe that law is right?" People looked at each other. Finally, a young crew member named Park Ji-ho raised his hand. "Captain, I saw the child once. She was hiding in the cargo bay. She looked scared. She looked like my little sister when she has nightmares." "Valrin are called monsters," someone else said. "But I have been thinking, who decided that? Who made that law?" "The species with power," Dr. Yuna said, standing up. "The species who profit from trafficking. I have been researching. Valrin children are sold to labs and collectors for huge amounts of money. That is why they are called restricted beings. It makes the trade legal. The crew began to murmur. Many had not known this. I have been on this ship for 10 years, said engineer Lee Minseo. Day One is the best person I know. If he says that child deserves protection, I believe him. He broke the law, another crew member argued. We could all get in trouble. Some laws are wrong, Captain Tae-Yang said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. I have been thinking about this all night. My father used to tell me that we judge a civilization not by how they treat the powerful, but by how they treat the most vulnerable. A child is running for her life. Daiwan chose to protect her. What does it say about us if we do not support that? The room was quiet again. Then Wu Jin stood up. I have been writing my report, he said. But I cannot finish it, because I do not want to be the person who sends a child back to traffickers. I want to help Daewon, even if it costs me my job. One by one, other crew members stood up. I will help too. And me. Count me in. Soon, 34 crew members were standing. Only 13 remained seated, uncomfortable but not willing to risk their careers. The captain did not judge them. This was a choice each person had to make. All right, Captain Tae-Yang said. Then we need a plan. Dr. Yuna stepped forward. I have been investigating the bounty hunters' documentation. Something felt wrong about it. I accessed the Galactic Trade Registry. Their paperwork has discrepancies. The collection license they claim is registered to a company that does not exist anymore. It was shut down 2 years ago for illegal trafficking. So their documentation is fake? Wu Jin asked. Yes, which means they have no legal right to that child. They are just traffickers with fancy badges. Hope spread through the room. If they could prove the documentation was false, they could challenge the bounty hunters legally. We need evidence, the captain said. Real evidence that we can present to station authorities. I can get it, Wu Jin offered. I have security clearance on the station. I can access their files. Over the next day, the crew worked together. Wu Jin gathered evidence from station records. Yuna compiled medical reports about Valrin needs and how traffickers abused them. Other crew members contacted human ships in the area, spreading the word about what was happening. Daewon and Hanul knew nothing about this yet. They were still hiding in the lower levels of the station. Daewon's injury was getting worse. Hanul tried to help him, but she was scared. She had never seen Bada this weak before. Bada needs doctor, she said in her broken words. I will be okay, Daewon promised, though he was not sure if that was true. On the third day, Captain Tae-Yang sent a message to Daewon's personal communicator. Come to the station's public forum. Bring Hanul. We have something to show you. Trust me. Daewon was not sure if he should trust it. It could be a trap, but the captain had never lied to him before, and they could not hide forever. He and Hanul made their way carefully to the public forum. It was a large open space where important announcements were made. When they arrived, Daewon was shocked. The entire crew of Baekdu's Pride was there. So were crews from 3 other human ships docked at the station, and Vextar was there too, with his bounty hunters. What is this? Daewon asked, confused. Captain Tae-Yang smiled at him. Watch. The captain stepped onto the public platform. Screens around the forum lit up with the evidence Wu Jin had gathered. Everyone in the station could see it. I am Captain Lee Tae-Yang of the human vessel Baekdu's Pride, he announced. I am here to report a crime. These individuals, he pointed at Vextar and his team, are operating with false documentation. They are traffickers posing as legal bounty hunters. The screens showed all the proof. The fake licenses. The shutdown company, evidence of previous trafficking crimes connected to Vextar's team. Vextar's face twisted with anger. This is human interference. You have no authority here. We have the authority of truth, Captain Tae-Yang said firmly. and we have the authority of basic decency. This child they are hunting is not property. She is a person. Her name is Ha Nul. She watched her family die. She has been running for her life. And my crew member Kang Dae-won chose to protect her when no one else would. Dae-won felt tears in his eyes. The captain was risking everything for them. We humans have a principle, the captain continued, his voice strong. We protect children, all children. It does not matter what species they are. It does not matter what the galaxy calls them. A child who needs help deserves help, and I will not let this little girl be taken by traffickers, not while I can stand against it. The other human ship captains stepped forward. We stand with Captain Tae-yang, one said. We will not allow this injustice. More humans in the station joined them, shop owners, travelers, workers. They formed a wall of people between Hanul and the bounty hunters. Aliens in the station watched with mixed expressions. Some looked uncomfortable. They knew the law said Valrin were restricted, but seeing so many humans united to protect one child made them question that law. Station security arrived. They reviewed the evidence. After a long discussion, they arrested Vextar and his team. The fake documentation was enough to charge them with fraud and attempted trafficking. The child will remain under human protection pending a full investigation, the station commander declared. When it was over, the crew surrounded Dae-won and Hanul. People hugged them. Some cried. Hanul did not understand everything that happened, but she understood that these humans had fought for her. They had put themselves at risk to keep her safe. Dr. Yuna took Dae-won to the medical bay on the ship to treat his injury. Hanul did not want to leave his side. She held his hand the whole time. Why did everyone help? Dae-won asked the captain later. Captain Tae-yang smiled. Because you showed us what was right. You did not give speeches. You did not ask for help. You just quietly did what needed to be done. That inspired us. You made us remember what we should stand for. Woo-jin approached them, looking embarrassed. Dae-won, I almost reported you that day I inspected your quarters. I suspected something was wrong, but I chose to ignore it. I am glad I did. Thank you, Dae-won said simply. All of you. Thank you. That night, Ha-nul sat on the bed in the medical bay. Dae-won was resting nearby. The crew had brought her gifts, toys, books, food, things she had never had before. But the best gift was not things. It was seeing so many people who cared if she lived or died. People who called themselves her friends. She looked at Dae-won and said carefully, Humans good. All humans like Bada. Dae-won smiled tiredly. Not all humans, but the best ones are. And you helped us become better. You showed us that some rules need to be broken, some fights need to be fought. Hanul crawled next to him and rested her head on his shoulder. Gajok, she whispered. Family, Dae-won agreed. A big family now. Outside the medical bay, the crew celebrated quietly. They had done something that mattered. They had stood up against injustice, and they had shown the galaxy that humanity would not let children suffer, no matter what species they were. It was a small victory in a big galaxy, but it was a start. 6 months had passed since that day on Station Prometheus. Many things had changed. Dae-won and Hanul now lived in a small house on New Sol Colony. It was a human settlement on a peaceful planet far from the busy trade routes. The colony was known for accepting refugees and outcasts. It was a good place for a new start. The house had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a small garden. Hanul loved the garden. She had never seen real plants growing in soil before. She spent hours watching the flowers bloom, touching the leaves gently like they were precious treasures. Every morning, Dae-won made breakfast while Hanul got ready for school. School was still strange for her. She was the only Valrin in a class of human children. At first, the other kids stared at her pale, glowing skin and large eyes. Some were afraid. Their parents had told them stories about Valrin being monsters. But children learn faster than adults. Within a few weeks, the other kids forgot to be afraid. They just saw Hanul, the girl who was really good at building things, the girl who always shared her snacks, the girl who laughed at their jokes, even when she did not completely understand them. Hanul made friends. A girl named Kim Sua sat next to her in class. Sua had decided on the first day that Hanul needed a friend, and she never changed her mind. Now they were inseparable. "Hanul, your dad is here," Sua would call after school. Hanul always smiled when she heard that word. Dad. In public, they said Daewon was her uncle because the adoption papers were complicated. But in private, in their hearts, he was her father, and she was his daughter. Daewon worked as an engineer for the colony's maintenance department. It was similar to his work on the ship, but he had weekends off now. He could actually spend time with Hanul. They would go to the park or visit the library or just sit in the garden talking. Hanul's human language was much better now. She still made small mistakes, but she could express herself clearly. And Daewon had learned enough Valrin to understand her when she wanted to talk about her memories or her feelings. Dr. Yuna visited once a month. She had transferred to a medical ship that traveled to different colonies. She always brought presents for Hanul and made sure both of them were healthy. She had become like an aunt, part of their little family. Other crew members from Baekdu's Pride visited too. Captain Tae Yang came for Hanul's birthday. Woo Jin brought his daughter to play with Hanul. Engineer Min Seo taught Hanul about advanced engine design. The house was often full of people now. Hanul, who had spent so long alone and hiding, was surrounded by humans who loved her. It still amazed her sometimes. One evening, Daewon was preparing dinner when Hanul came running from her room. She had a paper in her hands, excitement on her face. "Bada! Teacher says I can do presentation about Valrin culture." Daewon smiled at her enthusiasm. "That is wonderful. What will you tell them?" "Everything. About my people. About our art and music. About how we are not monsters." Hanul paused, her expression becoming serious. "Teacher says some kids' parents worried. They think Valrin dangerous. I want to show them truth." "You will do great," Daewon assured her. "You are very brave." Hanul hugged him. "I learned brave from you." The presentation day came 2 weeks later. The school invited parents to attend. The room was full. Daewon sat in the front row, nervous for Hanul. He knew some parents still had doubts about her. Hanul stood at the front of the class. She was small and scared, but she did not run. She held up her memory crystal, the one that contained images of her family and home world. "My name is Hanul," she began. Her voice was quiet but steady. "I am Valrin. Many people think Valrin are monsters. I want to tell you the truth about my people." The crystal projected images in the air. Beautiful buildings, art that seemed to dance with light and color, music that made people's eyes water with its beauty. "Valrin were artists," Hanul explained. "We made beautiful things. We built cities that sang in the wind. We wrote stories and poems. We were not monsters. We were people." She showed pictures of her family, her mother, who had been a teacher, her father, who had designed buildings, her older brother, who had loved to paint. "Then bad people came," Hanul continued. "They said Valrin were dangerous. They said we were just things to sell. They killed my family. They tried to catch me. I ran and ran. I was so scared." The room was completely silent. Every parent, every child was listening. "Then I found Daewon." Hanul looked at Daewon with love in her eyes. He did not see a monster. He saw a scared child. He gave me food when I was hungry. He protected me when bad people hunted me. He became my family when I had no one. She turned back to the audience. Valrin need a little bit of blood to be healthy. Like humans need vitamins. We do not hurt people. We do not take too much. Day1 gives me what I need. It does not hurt him. I am careful. A parent raised her hand. But aren't you dangerous? What if you lose control? Hanul thought about this carefully. I am 8 years old. When human children are 8, do they lose control sometimes? Do they get angry or scared? Yes. But you teach them to be better, to control feelings, to be kind. Valrin children are same. We learn. We grow. We can be good people if someone teaches us. Another parent asked, why should we accept Valrin here? Why take the risk? Before Hanul could answer, Sua stood up. Because Hanul is my friend. She helped me when I was sad. She shared her lunch when I forgot mine. She is nice. Why does it matter that she is different? Other children started speaking up too. Hanul helped me with my math homework. She taught me how to draw really good spaceships. She always plays with kids who have no one to play with. Day1 felt tears in his eyes. These children understood something many adults did not. They saw past what Hanul was and cared about who she was. Hanul's teacher stood up. I have had Hanul in my class for 4 months now. She is kind, smart, and hardworking. She has never caused any problems. She has made our class better. I am proud to have her as my student. The presentation ended with uncertain applause. Not everyone was convinced. Some parents still looked worried, but others smiled and nodded. It was a start. After class, several parents came to talk to Day1. They had questions about Valrin, about safety, about the future. Day1 answered them all patiently, honestly. He let them see that he was just a father trying to raise his daughter in a good way. That night at home, Hanul was quiet. Day1 found her in the garden, looking at the stars. Are you okay? He asked, sitting next to her. Some people still afraid of me, she said sadly. I showed them everything. I told them truth. But they still afraid. I know. But some people listened. Some people understood. And more will understand in time. You cannot change everyone's mind in one day, Hanul. Change happens slowly. Hanul leaned against him. Bada, do you ever regret helping me? Your life was easier before. Day1 wrapped his arm around her shoulders. Hanul, look at me. She looked up at him with her large, dark eyes. My life before was quiet, Day1 said. I worked. I slept. I had no problems. But I also had no real happiness. Now I have you. Every day you make me laugh. Every day you amaze me with how brave and smart you are. Every day I am proud to be your father. How could I regret that? Even when things are hard? Especially when things are hard. Because that is what family means. We face hard things together. Hanul smiled. Then she said something in Valrin. It was a poem her mother used to say. Day1 did not understand all the words, but he understood the meaning. It was about stars that guide people home, about finding light in darkness. A few days later, Day1 received a message. 3 more Valrin children had been rescued from traffickers. The human organization that helped refugees needed placement for them. They were asking if Day1 knew anyone who could foster them. He showed the message to Hanul. What do you think? Should we help them? Hanul's eyes lit up. They are like me, alone and scared? Yes. Then we must help. They need family, like I needed family. Day1 smiled. It will be a lot of work. 3 more children. Our house will be very crowded. Good, Hanul said firmly. Big families are best. We will teach them they are safe. We will show them that humans can be kind. We will give them what you gave me. Hope. Over the next month, 3 Valrin children came to live with them. 2 boys and 1 girl, all younger than Hanul. They were terrified at first, expecting humans to hurt them. But Hanul talked to them in their language. She showed them that Day One was safe. She taught them human words and human customs. The house became chaotic. 4 Valran children running around, laughing, playing, fighting sometimes. Day One was exhausted most days, but he had never been happier. Dr. Yuna visited and laughed at the chaos. You went from a quiet bachelor to a father of 4 in less than a year. How does it feel? Like I finally found what I was supposed to be doing, Daewon answered. One evening, Daewon sat in the garden after getting all 4 children to bed. It had taken 2 hours. Hanul came outside and sat next to him. Tired? She asked, smiling. Very tired, he admitted. But happy? Very happy. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Hanul asked, Bada, did you ever imagine your life would be like this? Daewon thought about the question. He remembered his old life, working alone on the ship, eating meals alone, going to sleep alone. It seemed like a different person had lived that life. No, he said honestly, I never imagined this. I never imagined having a family. I never imagined being a father. But Hanul, I would not change anything. Not one single thing. You are my family. All of you. And that makes me the luckiest person in the galaxy. Hanul hugged him tight. You are my family too. You protected me when no one else would. You gave me a home. You gave me love. That makes you the best father in any galaxy. They embraced as the stars came out above them. Inside the house, 3 other Valran children slept safely, probably for the first time in their young lives. Daewon thought about everything that had happened. One choice in a cargo bay had changed everything. One moment of seeing a scared child instead of a monster had led to this. A house full of laughter. A family built from kindness instead of blood. The galaxy still had not changed much. Valran were still hunted in many places. The laws were still unjust. But here, in this small house on New Sol Colony, 4 children were safe. 4 children knew they were loved. 4 children had hope for the future. It was not much, but it was everything. One human had protected one child quietly, and she had called him family. And that family had grown, spreading hope like ripples on water, showing the galaxy that change was possible. One act of kindness at a time.